Well, the biggest single flaw was talking too much about hits and likes, or to be more specific, talking about them in the absence of any other form of image tracking or business results. So we had a lot of people who said, we had millions of hits and likes, and the thing that people have to remember is that earned media is not a business benefit in itself.
I think like a lot of the engagement numbers that were coming through, 50 million views or, however X number of impressions, those are all, and when you get to the effectiveness part, did those really actually move the business? Do they actually drive the results? If they're not, then they're not really compelling. So I wouldn't focus a lot of your time, shouting those. I'd focus a lot of the time shouting on exactly what the campaign was set out to achieve, whether that be sales or whether that be, change of behavior, whatever it may be. I think you need to focus on that versus focusing on how many likes you had or how many shares you had.
We started off really wrestling through the concept of what the definition of effectiveness was. And I in particular pushed this point a number of times because on some of the cases they were extremely good at having a research-based authorization of their creativity. We received X brand scores, we received fantastic customer response on intent to purchase, on changes in attitudes, and whilst that was very positive, on some of the cases we were erring towards that, and on other cases we pushed this effectiveness for business results. What was it actually producing in sales? And the bias certainly was more towards what it was achieving in sales results. So at times there was a shifting away from some of the brand and research criteria. There was also a shifting away from campaigns that were actually quite innovative but hadn't yet demonstrated tangible results.
One of the things that we found is that some of the cases, because the difference between value share and volume share is huge. So you see, wow, they talk about share growth. 50% share growth. It's unbelievable, they should win the Grand Prix. But then you go in and you say, whoa, wait a second, that's volume share. So what do we know about volume share? Then you go and you look and you see their value share dropped, and you get to the caveat and it says, oh yeah, by the way, we were discounting our product by 80% during this period. Hello? Not sure that's creative effectiveness, because there you have to ask yourself the question, what actually drove the campaign? I think another issue was that, as you know, when you win, when you get into this category, so if you're in this category, it means that you've won already at Cannes. So you won the year before a Lion, or you were shortlisted. But you were shortlisted for the work, not for the effect of the work. So essentially you got in because you did a great TV commercial, or you did a great outdoor, or you did whatever that thing was. So all of a sudden you've got to report on the whole campaign. Now not everybody reported on the whole campaign.
You could really tell the difference between well-argued, well-reasoned, tight cases and those cases where, unfortunately, I think more than I was expecting, the cases were just not necessarily very well done. It doesn't mean how long they were. We had some cases where there were 50, or you must have seen some of them, 50 pages of backup. And that doesn't necessarily mean, it's a little bit like a dissertation. It doesn't mean how thick the dissertation is, it's how tight I think the argument is. And the logic from insight to idea to the execution to the results was such a virtuous circle.
It was the business results piece that we kept challenging ourselves on. Now, not every case needed to turn a profit, and a lot of cases were very explicit around what effectiveness was for them and how they were going to go and measure that. But then there were a lot of cases right across the board, from the 80 plus that originally came through, that I think what David called out digibabble. And the digibabble is calling out these extraordinary engagement scores on a social network that really doesn't mean anything, and certainly doesn't mean anything against the stated objectives, or if they did, then they're irrelevant to actually going and driving business results. So I think we're at a bit of a tipping point in how people are writing these cases and looking at effectiveness, because clearly masses of likes and shares is not going to cut it in a world where, as an agency, as an industry, we're trying to be taken seriously for our thinking to actually really go and drive the bottom line on organisations. Yeah.